Welcome everyone to our spring issue of Conversations in Creativity. I'm Elizabeth Stone and I'm here with Eileen Rafferty.
Hi, welcome.
When I think of spring, I think of evolution, I think of rebirth, I think of growth, I think of trying new things with my photography. And for me, I have an abundance of energy in this season.
Spring is such a great time for trying new things, right? Renewed energy, new experiences, and as artists and creative people, I think it's really great to be evolving.
Do you want to start, Eileen, with giving an example of how you've evolved as a photographer and artist?
Sure. So over the many decades, I've worked as a photographer.
Many decades.
Many, countless. There's been a lot of different ways that I've worked in photography and a lot of different ways that I've been an artist. And way back in the day, I was a classic darkroom printer and shot exclusively black and white film and worked in the darkroom. Mm-hmm. But there came a time where I felt like it was time to break out of what I already knew to do really well. Mm-hmm. And so when I went to graduate school, I tried many new things. So I tried working in mixed media, working in video, working in installation, in three-dimensional work. And I really found that time when I was experimenting with a lot of new things kind of blew the lid off what photography could be for me.
It's cool. So do you want to share with our listeners where you are perhaps right now?
Now I'm taking photographs that are historical photographs. And there's many steps, but ultimately I'm making really large, 4 feet by 5 feet drawings. Mm-hmm. And this is a whole new way of working for me. Photography is a part of the process because I work with photographs and scanners and Photoshop, but the actual process for me is completely different than anything I've ever done before, and it has spawned an entirely new body of work and all sorts of new possibilities.
I think one of the cool things that I hear you say, Eileen, is that the process is long. Just like when I also learned in the black and white traditional darkroom, it was a lengthy process. And so I hear you describing a lengthy process to you that's very fulfilling, probably on the same levels.
I like the idea that there's very many steps in the process because that opens the possibility for something that could change in any step of the process. Mm-hmm. And then that can change the overall end outcome. So I like that unpredictability. Mm-hmm. And I also like being new at something and learning as I go.
Mm-hmm. For me, I had something happen a few years ago where I was kind of a representational photographer, and all of a sudden I switched things up and tried a completely new subject matter for me and working in the abstract. And I actually create small little 3D sculptures, which I then photograph on a very abstract, almost not true macro, but a close-up level. And that realm has felt brand new and exciting, and it's forced me to see differently or to sharpen my seeing skills, I would say. And again, there's that element of surprise. You don't know what's going to happen, and it's pretty exciting.
You're still using the camera, you're still working with files, but it's extreme in the change that it's been in your work by simply having a new subject matter, or a new way of looking, which is abstract work.
Right. Yeah, and it's refreshing too. It definitely projected me into a completely different world. So in wrapping up this spring session, what we'd like to leave you with is to take advantage of the idea of springtime and evolution and rebirth and growth to perhaps try something new in your photography. And perhaps it's as simple as putting a new lens on your camera and committing to working with that lens for a month. Or perhaps you've been photographing color this whole time. Perhaps you think about photographing in black and white for the springtime. Or something like I did, where you try a completely different subject matter that you haven't thought of before.
And maybe a new lens or a new subject matter doesn't seem like enough to shake it up. Then you could try working with multiple imagery, whether that means double exposures, whether that means working in diptychs and triptychs, whether that means working in a series of photographs, but maybe approaching your photography thinking about how you can use multiple images to tell a story or express what you want to express besides just the singular image. Another way that you could get creative and evolve and do something different would be working with image transfers. In our alternative printing workshop in the fall every year, we take an entire day to teach probably 5 different ways of doing image transfers. And it's a really fun way to get photographic images on alternative surfaces that can't go through a printer.
So thanks everyone for taking the time to listen to our springtime conversations and creativity, and we can't wait to see you in the summer.
Happy spring.